Bringing in new things like, the small home concept. That's great.
The code, so they
Worked on it for years.
They're working on the
Let's
code?
destroy that.
They're working on
It's
the
normal.
code.
Let's destroy it.
Yeah, the different codes.
Nobody's destroying a thing.
It's gotta go in front of, after it gets done with you, it's gotta go to the council.
So, Mayor,
Yes.
goes in line to what Councilor Holston was saying, that actually, I think part of it was that there are a lot of members who live outside of the city, who do shop here, own properties within the city.
Right.
I think that was part of that, when this happened, was so that, hey, you know, you can participate, you do invest. So I think that was one of the pieces back in the day when we did that, was you do invest in the city, you do have properties here. So I believe that's why that occurred.
I don't disagree that this isn't a good thing to consider, but I'm not sure that I'm ready to vote and say, let's do it now. I'd like to have.
So as you as a council know, you put together a committee to do a request for proposals for a city attorney. Okay, we received 3 packets timely and 1 not. So, and what I was gonna ask the council tonight was for, that's the mic. So what I was gonna ask the council tonight was so that, to please tell me who the selection committee is going to be so that we could move on with this. And the plan was that you would be presented after the selection committee picks the top person. I would negotiate the contract and we'd have this ready to go at your December 6th meeting so that you could select your new city attorney. Was the original intent of the council when we went through the RFP process.
So the original people that started it was Gary and Afa and myself, and so.
Okay.
So I would like us to see it through.
Wanna do that tomorrow?
Can't do it tomorrow.
Okay, without, I'm gonna be out of town until the 26th of November.
So would it
Okay,
be
can
okay
we-
if the mayor-elect sit in your place?
No, I wanna participate. And she can sit in, but I wanna
Yeah.
participate. Can I do it by phone?
Yes.
And the
But
second-
it would have to
the
be-
second question is,
Okay.
since some of the RFPs went out late, are all RFPs gonna be considered, even the
So-
ones that were on time?
So all the RFPs went out on time because some of those folks said they didn't get it. I rechecked the addresses. We did send them out on time to all of them. Okay. And I double checked, cause I can go on, Councilor Atkins, so there's a few who didn't, and we got a hold of them. And I double checked the addresses that we sent them out to, and we sent them to the correct place.
Well, we can avoid a whole big hoo-ha about that by just saying all applicants, whether received timely or not, will be considered.
So, the council can do that, but normally, when you set an RFP deadline, okay, for example, when we do it for construction bids, for any type of bids, unfortunately, we go to the minute. We've had bids come in, right at 2:01, and those bids haven't been allowed to go forward if the bid time is 2 or 5. So I don't know if the council wants to put themselves in that position to where your other folks who may have been timely,
Well,
are challenged.
I just say this, when a law firm receives mail, Louis, they timestamp it, they mark it in, and if they say they didn't receive it, I believe them over our administrative services that we sent it. If they say they didn't receive it, they didn't receive it. And so, we can avoid all of that simply by saying, all RFPs that we have, whether timely or not, will be considered. Otherwise, I think we have to do, more investigation. But I can tell you, law firms do not handle their mail casually. They're more strict with their mail than we are with ours, for sure.
Well,
So is it
You can
possible
avoid
for
it, just take everybody.
Well, when you say take everybody, you're saying take everybody that we have received to date,
Yes,
not
To this
something that
date.
might come in tomorrow or next week.
Right.
But go ahead and take the 4 that we had received.
Right.
And.
And I don't even know
call
who they
that
are.
good.
but I'm just saying. If
I
they
don't-
say they didn't get it, they didn't get it.
Louis, how late was the delinquent for?
1 minute.
Oh, for
Oh my
crying out
God.
loud.
So, again, and you as a council can choose to accept it, however, again, you can also, the other 3 who were timely can also come back and say, okay, but no, we'll take all 4, that's up to the council.
Yeah, I move that we choose to.
So,
Do I have to make one?
yeah, can we get a motion on that, because I don't want to.
You don't like that, huh? No, I agree with you. I hear what you're saying,
Yeah,
but I think
so-
in this circumstance.
How do you even know their clocks are on time?
So, if someone would like to make a
Jesus.
motion that you accept them all, please.
I mean, it's not rule.
Right.
Yeah, that's what you
Okay, so I move that we accept all 4 RFPs that we have received to date for the position, for the city administrator position.
No, for city attorney
City
position
attorney position
and city attorney and continued review.
and continue review.
And what?
And
And
continued
continued
review so
review
that we
of
continue the
all 4.
process.
Second.
Been moved and seconded. Any more discussion? Okay, call for the vote.
Just one-
Oh,
I'm gonna be in and out, but so I'd like to be involved by telephone, if I may, from wherever I am.
Yes, and what I'd like to do, if possible, if you all stop by the office, I'll give you copies for you to start looking at. And then I think what I'd like to do for the rest of us is meet on, maybe Wednesday afternoon.
Yeah, I'm
Is
gonna
that
be-
an okay day?
I'm gonna be out of town.
I know, but by phone. is
By
that-
phone, yeah.
And then you would have copies of the documents
Yes.
also. Was that day before?
Realize it's the
Yeah.
day before Thanksgiving.
How about Tuesday, anytime Tuesday?
I'm gonna be traveling.
On Tuesday.
So
okay, what about Monday?
I say, I'm leaving tomorrow morning, and
Okay,
I'm driving to Santa Fe, New Mexico, and I'm not gonna arrive there until Wednesday.
oh,
So
okay.
what I'm gonna ask you, I'm gonna give you an address to mail it to Santa Fe, so when I get there, I'll have it and I can review it.
Oh, okay.
I can't pick it up unless you wanna meet me at 6 AM in the morning, or give it to me tonight.
Give me the address. Okay, well, I can
Email
scan
it.
and email it to you.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah, that works.
Yeah, I'll scan and email. That'll work good.
Unless it's huge documents.
No, it's,
All right.
they're about 10 or 12 pages,
All right,
2
okay.
pages for each one, so. Yeah, I'll send it to you one at a time.
Okay, thank you. And then whenever you have your conference, just let me know, unless it's,
So is anyone leaving Wednesday afternoon early, or gonna be gone Wednesday?
I am, I'm gone Tuesday.
Okay, then, how about the Monday right after Thanksgiving? Everyone okay with that?
That's what, the 26th?
No. Is that for the review committee you're talking about?
Yes, for the review
The
committee.
Monday,
Not the whole council,
isn't
just
that,
the review.
No, for the whole council, I'd like, if we can get the review committee done, that gives everyone plenty of time to look at everything. When we meet on the 26th, it should be pretty quick on who's picked who, and then I start contacting your top pick and start negotiating and get everything set and ready for you for the interim administrator to present to you on the 6th.
Can it be in the afternoon on the 26th?
What's that? Oh, shoot, yep, I'm gonna have to post it as a meeting, yep.
what's that?
Okay, let me get the date first.
Can you rattle all that off again?
We're
Because
gonna have to post it as a
He
meeting.
has to post it because you have a quorum.
We have a quorum.
So Monday, the 26th in the afternoon?
Yeah.
Yeah.
What's a good time?
What's
Where
a
you
good
got
time
some
for you, Paul?
For me?
Yeah.
Is this the council or is this?
Oh, no.
No,
Which
this
one
is
are we
strictly-
doing?
This is, we're trying to set, so everyone's busy, it's Thanksgiving, November the 26th for the review committee to get together,
Oh, okay.
okay? I will get this documents out to everyone as quick as tomorrow if you like, okay? And then I will mail or scan the ones for,
So we're not gonna
Council
do
Carlson.
anything until the 26th?
Correct, I will give you guys the 4
Okay.
RFPs review, and when we get to the meeting, it should be pretty much, you should have yours picked.
Are you gonna be able to get it done before the 30th? Or by the 30th? On the 30th?
I'll either get it done or started to where you should have your stuff ready by the 6th. I don't see why we can't make the 6th. And whoever you select as an interim, all the ones you're looking at are very sharp and they'll be able to pick it up. All right, so the 26th, 1 o'clock. Is that okay for everybody?
Where at? City Hall?
City Hall.
Conference room?
Yes. And I will, tomorrow afternoon sometime, I'll have everything laid out, so you guys, you can come and pick them up. I have them in an envelope for you, for, the mayor, Councilor Holston, yourself, and I will email it to, Councilor
Thank you. Before lunch, after lunch?
after lunch. I have them ready for you after lunch.
All right. Thank you.
All right, so did that kinda help just a lot?
Yeah.
Yeah, the
I'll
process.
back
The process is going, you're at the end of it. Alright. So, and I have to post it.
Okay. Okay, we're done with all that. How about 7.1, community services rec?
Oh, hold on.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Need a vote,
What?
Go ahead.
What am I voting on?
Carl, Holston, and
That's 4, they need to post this.
they are. They talk. That's what they said.
To accept all RFPs?
Yeah, so the city
Was that a
attorney.
motion?
No, interim CA was only.
This is to accept all the RFPs.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah,
because
accept all the
She,
RFPs.
she,
Currently in hand.
and he,
Currently,
Gary seconded it.
Good job, Jackie.
So long ago.
Aye.
Counselor McMillan?
Dot.
Your lights are all off.
are we off again?
Oh, boy, we lost it.
His phone's been cracked.
That was him coughing.
Oh, he was coughing bad.
Well, we'll just call
That's
it
why he
back.
told me he wasn't gonna participate, because he was coughing.
Who's all meeting to go over the interim CA applicants?
Judy.
You and Judy? Not the rest?
No, Gary. And Adam.
That's 4, so you would need to make a meeting for that as well, because that's a
What he was
quorum.
talking.
He was talking about the attorney, I'm talking about the interim and the CA.
Oh, no, it's just Judy.
Just, yeah, her. It's like I'm dying here, buddy.
Okay.
Come on, Josh.
Hi, this is Josh McMillan.
Yeah.
Sorry I didn't get to phone in time. Please leave your name, number.
I think he's left the meeting.
I think he's left the building.
So,
Okay.
he knows the number that's calling him, so he should be able to call us back.
So,
Okay.
So what do we do? And then you go with the council.
All right. Yes, go ahead.
Councilor Gobelman,
aye.
Councilor Carl,
Aye.
Mayor Rowland,
Aye.
Councilor Appa,
Aye.
Councilor Workman.
Aye.
Motion passes.
Mayor?
Yes.
And I just want to make one quick statement. Counselor Carl, I understand that the diligence that law firms put to the mail, that I personally made sure one-on-one with Jackie on the day that she put them in the mail for me. Okay? And I know that she put all 7 in, and I typed all the addresses one by one, so I kind of feel a little offended that, okay, I understand we're not perfect, but I know that we mailed this stuff on
I
time.
apologize.
Thank you.
Okay. Community Services, 7.1, Rick?
Yes, council. In January, the city will have a number of vacancies needing to be filled in the various committees, boards, and commissions. Typically, vacancies are posted for 30 days, and staff is requesting approval for those postings so that we can have the applicants to start presenting in January. So we have, amongst the various boards, committees, and commissions, we have 17 vacancies.
Holy moly. Okay.
Were you just advising us or?
No,
Yeah,
I'm asking,
just-
asking for a motion and looking for,
Needs to be able to post these.
and there is a recommended motion on
Make
here.
a motion.
I move the city post vacancies of 2 vacancies for administrative committee, 2 vacancies for budget committee, 2 vacancies for library board, 1 vacancy for Oakridge Economic Development Advisory Committee, 3 vacancies for park and community service committee, 5 vacancies for planning commission, 2 vacancies for rural tourism marketing program.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Kathy seconds. Any discussion? Gary?
So will the closing date, allow for members of the current council who are not going to be on the council to apply for these positions?
If they want.
If they want?
I don't see why not. I mean,
You have 30 days, right?
Well, they're
yeah,
councilors.
yeah, and most of the ordinances and resolutions that establish the committees, they only say in January, they say they either start in January or end of December, so I mean, I would assume yes. I would
It'll
assume
be
that
the first or
would be-
second meeting.
Yep, you should be okay.
Because otherwise, anyone who's on the current council and not gonna be back would be precluded from being on any other.
So this would happen after the new council is sworn in, so technically it would be, the door would close on the old councilors, and if they haven't had an application in, I don't see why they wouldn't be considered.
All right, okay.
I would agree with you, yeah.
All right.
You guys would be-
Okay. It's been moved and seconded. Any more discussion? Call for a vote?
Counselor Carl,
Aye.
Counselor Gobelman,
Aye.
Counselor Brookham,
Aye.
Counselor Holston,
I just thought the question. Aye.
Counselor Appa,
Aye.
Mayor Rowland,
Aye. Motion passes.
So my question is, if you are on and your vacancy, and you're expiring, can you reapply?
Yes.
Always,
Thank you.
There are no-
always.
I was looking for term limits in those,
Yeah.
no term limits
Yeah.
limits in any other board vacancies or.
Okay, good.
Okay. Police services, is there a report?
No, do that the first thing.
Oh. Emergency services?
I've got a short report. This was brought to my attention, there might be some concern about some members that we have on probation, volunteer members. And so what I thought I would do is take the opportunity to share with the council the volunteer membership requirements, and that's what I handed out to you. So just briefly, I wanna go through what I gave you. When I first started, actually, most any organization that responds with emergencies, you have issues, and you need people to be trained, and you need those trained people to respond to calls. And what you run into a lot of times is, I haven't seen so-and-so in months, and they were just on a call. So you've got people that haven't been trained, and they're showing up on calls, which is not good. Or you have people that all they do is go to training, but they never show up on calls, which is what we want them to do. So this is a hybrid membership requirement that takes into consideration training and calls for members. So just real briefly, if you look at this, where it says alarms, that's what I'm talking about is calls. And we're talking about this number over the period of a quarter. So, 20 responses or calls or alarms that a member would have to have for the quarter, or that what they could do if you have a cruise ship, which is what you're looking on the next site, is an opportunity or a way for somebody to meet this requirement, not physically or actually have to go on a call. And the way that works is, let's say it's a Saturday and I've got nothing going on, I'm gonna be in town, so I call the crew at the station and say, for the next 8 hours, I'm available. And so if you get a call, you know I'm gonna show up, but I'm gonna be changing my oil, I'm gonna be cutting my grass or whatever. But the crew knows that they've got Mike out there at home, that if they have a call, he's gonna show up. That time is worth something to us or to them. And for notifying the on-duty crew that you're available, you get credit for one response or one call. Same thing as if you have a volunteer that doesn't live in the community, which we have some, and they come up so that they can meet their requirement for getting calls, and they're here for a 24-hour period, and they're just no calls. Well, again, their time's worth something, and for every 8 hours, they get credit for one call, so they would get credit for 3 calls. So if you look at the matrix at the top, you could have somebody that worked 12 cruise shifts and not have to respond to any calls. What that means is there's 12 8-hour periods that they were here for the department and didn't go on any calls, which would be kind of hard to do, but if they did, that's how that portion of it. So that's the alarm portion. The training side of it, which is different, when we first started doing this, we were calling it, you had to have 7 drills in a quarter, and there were 15 opportunities. So you could miss 5 drills in that quarter. Then as I got to looking at this, you could have a volunteer, or you could have one drill that lasted 3 hours, and you could have another drill that lasted a half hour, or it could last an hour. So if you're looking at numbers of drills, and Rick has one drill that lasted 3 hours, and I have one drill that lasted 1 hour, you can't tell what that is when you're looking at qualifications. And the important part of this is for state recertification, you need to have 60 hours for firefighting, and then EMS is a difference. So we need to make sure that we're able to help our volunteers get recertified. So that is where the 14 hours came in. We changed it from the number of drills to the number of hours in a quarter. So what that means is the quarter is up, you go through and you look, and if you didn't meet the number of responses, but you have the number of training hours correct, you're still given a letter of probation. Or if you didn't meet the training hours, but you have the number of responses, you still got a letter. Or if you didn't meet either one of those 3 options, you get an email or a letter saying you're on probation. And what that means is for the next quarter, you need to meet this. And so if you don't meet that, that's when you're dismissed from the organization. But what you're saying is for 6 months, a half a year, you didn't meet the requirements. And that's okay, because people's lives change, things go on. If somebody knows that they're going to be gone because of they're going to school, which we've had people do that. We have volunteers that are pregnant and they're going through that process. And they take a leave of absence, then they're not subject to this requirement. They take a leave of absence when they come back, then they get back in line. So that is what the process is. We do have a number of volunteers that are in probation, which means the next quarter they just need to meet the requirements in their own.
So what's the optimum amount?
As many as you want, you can do it when you want. So if you look down where it says cruise shift options, we broke it down to 4, 8, 24 hour. I guess you could do 12 hour, 71 and a half. We didn't want to break it down to where it was 15 minutes because then it becomes logistically a nightmare. But you can do as many as you want.
So if I look at, you've got 10 alarms and 6 cruise shifts, so that's 6 8-hour periods? And the 20 with 0 is nothing?
Right. You didn't do any cruise, and we have volunteers that live in town, that go to a lot of calls, that don't need to do the cruise ship, because they meet that.
Okay, all right, I got it now.
Okay, so anyway, I just wanted to share that, that's all I have. Oh,
Okay.
Sorry.
Kathy?
So I just wanted to reiterate, when you say that you have members that are on probation, that just means they've been notified, you didn't meet the number of hours for this last quarter,
Hours or response.
hours or responses. It doesn't mean they're not reporting, it doesn't mean they can't be
Correct, they can still respond.
volunteer.
In fact, we want them to.
Right, absolutely. So it's just heads up, you need to meet them for the next quarter.
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, anything else?
Yes,
Go.
actually.
Yes, I'm sorry, I knew
Go.
that, I
Go
knew that.
quick. Okay, so, I just wanted to say something to all the community, because it's been brought to my attention in the past couple days that, now that we moved on from the election and all of the, what was that word? Rancor, that has occurred because of the election, you know, we don't get to talk and complain about that anymore because that's said and done. However, now there is another current of conversation about who is leading, who is going to be getting whose advice, whether or not we will have shadow governments underneath here. Let's stop it. That's not gonna happen. It will not happen. If you think it's happening, go to the person that you think it's about. We have a lot of intelligent, a lot of creative, a lot of wonderful people in this community. Every one of you will be tapped and asked to give advice. What is your opinion? Will you participate? We would be fools if we didn't reach out to the people in our community who have had experience, who have knowledge, who are willing to serve. Whether that is Mr. Gomez, or whether that is the former Mayor Coey, or whether that is any of the other rich former mayors that we have, intelligently rich former mayors that we have, or counselors. So if you hear that undercurrent happening, stop it. Put a stop to it. We teach our children not to be bullies and to stand up to them. Set an example. That's all I have to say.
Okay, meeting's adjourned.